No one also refused? Oh, that's okay. All right. That's okay. I'll be the only nerd here. That's fine. The freedom to be able to do this, like, I don't know that any other law firm would be like, yeah, go ahead, dress like Obi-Wan Kenobi and go ahead and talk about what you do. So, all right. And a long, long time ago in an estate plan far, far away, which luckily for us has the same laws as Michigan. So, once upon a time, there was a man named Luke, and he worked in his father's business. And he was going to inherit $20 million when his father passed away. So at an investment conference, he saw the most beautiful woman he's ever seen and decided that if he was going to inherit $20 million, he didn't want to do it alone. So he goes up to this woman and he says, "Excuse me, when my father passes away, I stand to inherit $20 million, and I could think of no one better to spend it with than you." She's very interested. She takes his card, and she, says that she'll be in touch. And then he sees her again 3 days later as his new stepmother. Because why wait, right? So for those of you who are Star Wars nerds like myself, this is Anakin Skywalker. For the sake of the joke, please bear with me. I understand that Padme Amidala is not Luke Skywalker. What kind of nerd do you think that I am? But let's go ahead and ruin this joke. So in order to do that, I'm going to go through the family tree. So the new stepmom, Padme Amidala. The father, Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader, owner-operator of Empire Ventures, LLC. The son, Luke Skywalker, very old Padawan, had a little short for a stormtrooper. The daughter, Leia Organa, Princess of Alderaan. But, as we all know, that didn't last very long because the Alderaan got blown up. So now she's the princess of nothing. But that's okay. All right, so let's talk about what happens if Luke's father remarries and there's another woman in the family that could potentially inherit. The questions to ask: will Luke still inherit? Is there a trust? If there's a trust and Luke is named as a beneficiary, then it might bypass Padme unless something is done to the trust documents in order to pass it to Padme instead of Luke. Does Vader even have a will set up? Is there a trust or any sort of system set up? If there's no sort of system set up, and thankfully, because the laws of far, far away are the same as Michigan, if there's no will or trust, typically if someone dies without any sort of parameters in place, then it goes to the spouse. And if they have children in common, there's this whole list of hierarchy of what happens. What do you do when someone passes without a will? Does it go to the spouse? Does it go to the children? Do you have do you have children with your current spouse? Do you have children from a different spouse? There's a whole complicated, well, not very complicated, but still, you got to go through the hierarchy of what is what in order to find out if Luke will still inherit. And then another consideration, if there's a trust, does it have a condition that Luke has to turn to the dark side in order to inherit anything from the trust? Because the thing about trust is that you can control the money from beyond the grave, right? You can say, okay, he's not going to get the money until he's completed Sith Lord University, right? He doesn't get the money until he turns 30 years old or something like that. With a trust, you can control the money. With a regular beneficiary package, you tend to just get it right when someone has passed away. Okay? Any questions? I feel like I'm a professor right now. So, no? Okay. All right. So the second question, we see Darth Vader telling Leia to go to her room. Will Leia inherit? Now, does adoption cut off inheritance? Yes, it does. If you were fully adopted out and your birth certificate has been adjusted to show that your birth parents, not actually your birth parents, but your parents are your adopted parents, you can no longer inherit from the from your original birth parents, since you were adopted out. Let's pretend that the adoption wasn't official, and they just swept her off to Alderaan to hide her from Darth Vader, which, as we all know, was the case. Duh. If the adoption wasn't final, does Leia have standing to challenge the will if she was completely left out? That can happen. If you want to disinherit somebody, you have to have extremely specific language in your documents that say, this person, I leave, nothing, or I leave $1 or something like that, so that they can't come back and say, wait a minute, they must have forgotten me. How could they have forgotten me? And then challenge it in far, far away probate court. And then the other thing, let's pretend that she was included in some sort of will or trust or inheritance. Can she waive her share of the inheritance if she wants no part of Vader's empire? Yes, you can. You can do that, typically in a writing. So that if you don't want any part of it, you want to leave it all to Luke, or if you want to just not have anything to do with it, you can waive your part of the inheritance. So, takeaways. Plan ahead so that you can be confident that your empire goes to the next generation rather than someone you didn't expect. Trusts allow you to control how your empire is distributed after you become a Jedi ghost. And act now, because you never know when you're going to have to bring balance to the Force by throwing the bad guy down an electrical shaft. Do I have any questions? Yes, Matt.
Does a trust have to get recorded to be valid?
No. Typically, a trust is technically a business. You get an EIN number. You register with Laura. You don't. The point of a trust is that it's private, and that you don't have to record it with the court. Typically, people record wills with the court if they think there might be hanky-panky, because that has happened, where someone comes up with a will that isn't actually the will, or they insert pages that weren't originally in the will. So you can do that, but with trusts, no, because it's a private corporation, basically. Any other questions? No? All right. May the Force be with you all. Thank you very much.